kono message wa video game gyokai no subete no third party kigyo ni muketa mono desu. Fuzakeru na zaken na yo kutabale shinjimae. And I'm saying this because I am so sick and tired of the video game third-party companies with their biased behaviors. They're very, very biased in support for the company that they constantly want to back, which is that company with the letter S as its initial. I'm sick of it. Whether they're on the bottom as far as sales or whether they're on the top, these third parties constantly support that company to the bitter end. And they're doing that because they're still angry at Yamaguchi, even though he's long gone. This is the ghost that haunts them. The ghost of Yamaguchi haunts the third parties due to his very strictness back in the early days of the NES, which is the original Nintendo Entertainment System. In order to save the video game industry, he had to come in and change the game. He had to change the game when it came to the Western market. And they hated him ever since. This also applies to the third-party companies in the Eastern markets. Ever since that company with the letter S as its initial came into the industry, whispering sweet nothings into their ears, leading them to the CD-ROM media, they've absolutely, totally abandoned the big N. And this curse of third parties being biased against Nintendo lingers on to this day. But great strides have been made on Nintendo's part to reach out and try to fix relations with these third parties during the Switch generation, the Nintendo Switch era. Nintendo has been very successful in rebuilding relations, but it is not perfect. It is still not nowhere near perfect. It is not on the same grand scale of third-party support that we would see on company letter S platforms. This is what angers me, because there are still some games being announced this year that would fit perfectly with the Nintendo Switch platform. But they have yet to be announced for the Nintendo Switch platform. I'm primarily looking at the company called Atlas, who've done very well on previous Nintendo consoles, but they're not offering the support that they should for the system that has outsold all systems in this current generation. They are still giving strong support. They're giving their all to company letter S, even though company letter S console has been completely, totally outsold tremendously by Nintendo's console. Nintendo's newest president, Shuntaro Furukawa, is doing a fantastic job with the Switch. And third-party relations is still not what it should be, like what we see on other systems. My opinion is ultimately that the Nintendo platform is a first-party driven platform. And third parties are very afraid of a platform like Nintendo's platforms. When I say first-party driven, what I mean is their games are usually perfect when they release. There's no bugs. There's no frame per second errors. The game runs smooth. The gameplay is great. The graphics is fantastic. Things run smooth is what I'm saying. When you buy Nintendo first-party games, you know you're getting games that are usually 10 out of 10s. But when you buy third-party games, they're usually poor. They're usually not good. And consumers have been conditioned to believe that. Most consumers know by now, when you buy a game on a Nintendo system, you must make sure it is made and published and developed by Nintendo, not third parties. Because third parties have burnt the bridge when it comes to supporting and building an audience on Nintendo platforms. It is the opposite on company letter S. Third parties rule the roost on that platform. That's a third party driven platform. First party take a back seat. First party games are not always good. They're usually just okay, or sometimes not good at all. Yes, sure, there are some, maybe about, I would say, 2 or 3 good first-party games on company letter S system. We can say God of War. We can say The Last of Us, which has been criticized heavily recently. We can also say Ghost of Tsushima. But outside of that, there's really nothing there from a first-party standpoint. And I will never say Spider-Man is a game that is owned and, it's an IP that is created by the first party of that platform. We all know Spider-Man is a Marvel property. So Spider-Man does not count. Nintendo is a first-party driven platform which scares third parties because their games will never take the spotlight. This is most likely one of the main reasons why third-party support is not strong on Nintendo platforms. But that is no excuse. If third parties tried, they would have great results. Not all Nintendo consumers just only want to buy Nintendo first party games. But the blame does go both ways. This has been nurtured over time on Nintendo platforms. It has been nurtured over time to only buy first party games because those are the best well made games on the system with the most effort put into them that takes full advantage of the platform. And third parties lazily put games on Nintendo platforms, or they don't put them on there at all because they're afraid that the game's not going to sell like the first party games. So no matter if Nintendo's platform has units sold which is on the level of the Nintendo DS or the Nintendo Switch, third parties are still scared. And maybe scared is not the right word, but biased is the right word. These third-party companies will make every excuse in the book. They'll blame the demographics of the audience, even if it's not true. They just make up all sorts of excuses that will make you scratch your head. When we, the audience, we are the consumers, we know those excuses are just straight up lies. But they don't care. They will support company letter S until they go bankrupt. No matter what bumbling choice company letter S makes, no matter how much company letter S copycat Nintendo's innovations, Nintendo's game IPs, third parties are still going to support company letter S. Even Microsoft Xbox don't stand a chance. Third parties, they don't care about Microsoft either. If Microsoft is not paying big bucks, third parties are not going to support Microsoft. The thing is, Microsoft don't mind spending the big bucks because they have that type of money. They have that money, so they'll just go in and throw it at the third parties. And since Microsoft consoles are also third-party driven, third parties don't mind offering that support. Microsoft Xbox always sell less than all the systems, every single generation, outside of the Wii U and Vita generation. But third parties will continue offering support because Microsoft is paying them a lot of money on the sneak tip. This is how you see, this is how you should know that the video game industry is very corrupt. A lot of corrupt activity, a lot, tremendous amounts of biasness going on in the video game industry. A lot of scandals and so forth. I stay away from the third parties. I don't support them at all. I don't buy their games. I've been conditioned to only buy Nintendo first-party games. This is why I don't like talking about video games when it comes to the PS platform. Because the PS platform is a cancer to the industry. The moment they came into the industry, the third parties stuck to them like glue. And the only way you're going to get games from third parties on your platform is if you pay them. But company letter S does not need to pay them. They just get that support for no reason. Company letter S does not need to even offer money for exclusivity at all. Even though we know they do it, they don't have to. Because all of those games are going to come to their platform no matter what. This industry is ridiculous. But I'm glad Nintendo doesn't play the game. Nintendo doesn't play that game with these third parties. Nintendo live and Nintendo shin'yō on their own first party games alone.